Are you Jewish, Dr. Wright?
No, my father is, but that doesn't help me in a matrilineal tradition.
The thing about being Jewish is that we have responsibilities to the dead as much as to the living. And I just don't do them. I've never lit a yahrzeit candle. Last week,
Baruch
I was in the same
atah
neighborhood as the
Adonai,
cemetery where like
Eloheinu melech haolam,
half my relatives
asher
are buried.
kiddushanu
And
b'mitzvotav,
I drove right past.
v'tzivanu lehadlik ner,
And now with COVID, there's
she'el
so
Baruch
many more
atah
dead.
Adonai, Eloheinu
The
melech
obligation
haolam,
feels
she'asa nisim lavoteinu,
crushing.
bayamim hahem, ba'azman hazeh. Hello, who are you?
Did you call me forth with the Hanukkah blessing?
It's the only one I knew. 8 nights a year for 22 years really cements something in your head, apparently. What should I call you?
You could keep calling me Leia.
I'd like to know your name, please.
You may call me Hanan.
I'm pleased to meet you, Hanan.
Not many are pleased to meet a Dybbuk. Leia certainly wasn't.
Well, you haven't taken over my body. And I wasn't raised on the stories of Dibbukim like she was.
Ah, yes, you're not Jewish. What are you, then?
Not much of anything. I was raised Lutheran, like Mom. But we only went to church on Christmas and Easter and when my grandparents were in town. And when we went, it was boring. My father was so much more connected to his faith. Synagogue every Friday night and every other Saturday morning. He was tenacious about it. Like it mattered whether he said the prayers or kept kosher. Like something terrible would happen if he didn't.
Because it would. Because it has. Do you know, Doctor, how a faith becomes tenacious? Through the constant threat of annihilation, expulsions, pogroms. Your mother's Christianity could afford to be boring because it is safe. The Jews are not safe. I have access to Leia's memories, her internet. I died in 1914. I have seen how things have been for my people since then. Dybukim, we are called clinging spirits. What surprise is it that we cling in death when we must cling so tightly to our lives? For our lives. Think about that the next time you bemoan your boring Christianity and long for your father's tenacious faith.
You're right. I spoke without thinking. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're sorry.
Yes. And that's all I can offer right now. We can't undo anti Semitism in one 50-minute therapy session. Right now, my job is to figure out your intentions for Leia and to see if we can find alternate arrangements.
State your case, Dr. Tess Wright of the living.
What do you need Leia to do for you?
No concern of yours.
Making it my concern. Or you could go into the flask right now.
Could I? We aren't even in the same room, the same city.
I called you out through the screen. I like my odds for anything else.
I admire your chutzpah. Like Leia, I fulfilled few of life's obligations. Other people showed little concern for me, so I'd show little for them in life or in death. Upon my own death, I became a Dybbuk as punishment.
No one mourned you properly. That's how someone becomes a Dybbuk.
That's one theory.
So you've been, possessing emotionally unstable people for over 100 years, wreaking havoc?
I've merely been trying to get someone to do what I need, to get them to fulfill the obligations I left undone in life, to break this curse and find some peace. Any havoc I wrought in the process was incidental. Leia feels so much delicious guilt over her failure to perform her duties to the dead. Once I convince her to light the candles and place the stones for her own relatives, it will take little convincing for her to take me to my dead. With a few well-placed books and internet searches, I might even convince her that it was her idea.
When I figured out that Leia's problem was Dybbuk possession, and wasn't that a shakeup for my worldview? Still have no idea how to code it on the insurance forms. Anyway, I did a lot of research, and I kept finding references to the Ibur. Do you know that word?
Goody two-shoes.
Yes, a benevolent possession. An Ibur possession is always positive, while a Dybbuk possession is always negative. But as far as I could tell, you have the same aims. To use a living human body to complete mitzvot that you left undone in life. What makes one desired and the other feared?
Consent. The Ibor asks before possessing a body. The Dybbuk only takes.
That's one theory.
You've heard another?
I have another. The very fact of your unmourned death created you. Now, we could argue for days about who's to blame for the fact that no one cared enough about you to mourn you when you died. But death rituals are essential in pretty much every culture. For the living, yes, but also for the dead. And here's the paradox. If you were known as a good person in life, then of course, a person would grant you permission to have your spirit inhabit their body if you ask. But if you were known as so wicked or apathetic in life that no one mourned you when you died, you can't expect permission, so you don't ask for it. What you're doing, what you have done, it's not okay, but it makes sense.
You have the candle. You have the flask. You used an unusual means of calling me out, but you understood the basic mechanics. You recognized me in the first place. No one has done that in at least 60 years. What do you want from me, Dr. Tess Wright? For yourself?
I want my client back. Unpossessed.
You have in front of you a Dybbuk. A Dybbuk? An actual monster of your father's faith? Pretty unboring, wouldn't you say? Or do you not think I'm a monster? Do you think I'm just misunderstood?
How about both?
I'll offer you a trade, Doctor. A transfer. You put away that flask, and I move from Leia's body into yours. Let us test your theory. A Dybbuk enters a body with full consent of the host and directs only good deeds in the world, can it be transformed, transmogrified, as the Kabbalists say, into an Ebor? Can it at least be stripped of its demonic nature and become an unencumbered soul?
Well, it hardly feels like consent if the only other option is you staying in Leia.
You have the flask. You could take your chances with the incantation. Across all these miles.
What's the catch? What do you get out of this?
Experience. You humans think that the dead are patient, that we have gone outside the bounds of time. I have been dead for over 100 years. I am done with waiting, done with possession. I have been unable to force a single human to complete a single mitzvah. You already know who I am, and will be knowing that I am part of you. You desire only to help me, so you will. No matter how much my demands turn your precious, boring life on its head, that is what I get out of this.
And if it gets to be too much for me, would you stop?
You need only say the words. Bet it works better when I'm with you. Inside you.
We'll try it. But only because I want you out of Leia. Not because of all the other stuff you said.
Oh no, of course not.
And we do this on my timeline. I don't know how things worked in 1914, but lives these days are messy. I'll have to see to several things before I can gallivant off to wherever you need to go.
Agreed. But I'll have access to your thoughts and memories. I'll know if you're shilly-shallying.
I won't. I promise. Now, is there a I never found an incantation for this.
This one's all intent. You sit there nice, relaxed, and still, and think welcoming thoughts at me. I'll do the rest.
Hey. Welcoming thoughts. Sure. How are you feeling, Leia?
Did I fall asleep? You hypnotize me.
Focusing and externalization. Patients give attributes and dimensions to shapeless concepts, like anxiety and mental blocks. This helps them see these concepts as less overwhelming and more like physical objects that they can distance themselves from. In time, some can even get rid of them as they would any other inanimate physical object.
I don't remember much of what I said. Do you think it worked?
Today was just the first step in the process, but I feel confident saying that that block will bother you less after today.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. I've had a lot of therapists, but you're the first one who gets me. Thank you. See you in 2?
See you in 2. And Leia, good luck.
Oh, thanks. Bye.
I'm not going to see her in 2, am I?
That depends on how fast you work.
Where are we going?
Mariupol, Ukraine.
Ukraine? In the middle of a global pandemic?
Bring lots of masks and that strange goo Leia was always putting on her hands.
Well, it certainly isn't boring. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Ukraine.